I've never seen so many dolls in my life.
And we didn't even take
Laid
them all
across
out.
the bed. There had to be well over 100.
Yeah.
Every doll, to me, has a different personality, and I don't know if it's a portal. I don't know. Mark has a really good theory. If you want to tell me your Aleister Crowley thing, Mark, do you want?
Well, no, that really doesn't have anything to do with this. But Aleister, I read a book on Aleister Crowley, and he believes that, when you die, you move on, wherever it is. Ghosts. You move on, and what you leave behind is like akin to a seashell. You leave a seashell behind, and it has all your memory and all your
DNA, your thought process, everything.
Right, and then I guess what his theory is that, any sort of elemental can kind of climb into that shell.
And portray himself like a demon.
Right, because not like a demon.
Or like you don't know what you're dealing with, really.
But they can, when you're communicating with them through whatever means, they have the knowledge that person, whoever shell it was, has, and they can portray themselves as that person because they have that person's memory there and everything.
And you got to realize, though, too, this is only one theory, and this is only a theory. We're just saying, hey, ghosts are real. We have no freaking idea what we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's the truth.
And so, I went in there, and then my thing is, I used to meditate a lot, and I used to, read and stuff like that. And, we're all chakras, and we have 7 pulse points in our aura, major ones, to where it's your 7 major chakras, but you also have them in the palm of your hands. You have them on the base of your feet. You have them everywhere. And so, I just kind of went over the bed with the dolls, and it was really weird. It was like almost, and the only thing I could equate it to is if you have a bowl of Rice Krispies, and you know how they pop with the milk?
Right.
If you were to put your hand really close to that milk, and you would feel that little singe of energy or a little pop.
Yeah, you grabbed my hand. You're like, feel this. And
yeah. And
I did feel it.
And it was like I was going right over the dolls with my hand. Some had it and some didn't. There were other dolls. There was another lady there. I'm really bad with names, but she was like, look at these. They're twins. And I was like, certain dolls, either the eyes look really funky or the twin thing freaked me out. I mean, I don't know.
Those twin dolls were scary.
But yeah, if I don't feel comfortable, even if it's like a physical thing to where, hey, the Stanley twins, that's creepy or something, I just, if I don't sit right with it, I just don't do it because, it's too easy to where something negative could say, hey, you didn't sit right with it, but you did it anyway, so I'm going to give you some more, or, I don't know. It's like really weird. I'm just starting to learn about the laws of the dark side, and, if it's creepy to me, I just move on to the next. But I did not like that doll in the box.
And that was her cherished one. That was her most cherished one, was that doll.
Well,
I think I overheard that she started it all, so I didn't even want to go by her.
And I wasn't in a hurry to go close to the bed because...
That's what I'm talking about. You scared me.
Debbie and I record at our... Well, we used to record in our home.
No, I mean, I'll still take them on the porch and do it, because I think there's some human spirits attached to stuff.
Right. But, I mean, we know that whether whatever's out there at times uses these dolls to communicate, like saying, hey, Mark and Debbie are talking to this doll, so let's talk, we'll talk, and they'll think that we're attached to the doll. It might be an opportunistic thing, but I know.
It could be anything. It could be the doll. It could be the love somebody poured into the doll.
Right.
It could be anything, but, I think we've worked with them long enough to know there are certain dolls that had certain voices. I asked that, some of the activities stopped, like there was one that would open and close doors. I stood out here in the living room and I said, I don't care what happens, you can't open and close the doors because I have animals here, they're inside animals. You can't do that and stay here. And it happened 3 days in a row we have a side-by-side refrigerator, and that was the story with the doll. So whether or not it's somebody playing to be the doll or whatever, I can't even get into that. I can't wrap my mind around that. But
yeah, because you guys go so many places.
The refrigerator door and the freezer side by side was open, wide open, every morning for 3 days. My kids were teenagers. They don't do that. We've lived here for, 15, 16 years. Never happened before. It never happened after. The activity did stop. But I would also see funky things that, and I mean, I'm not talking full-fledged apparitions, but like glimpsy stuff, to where it was all, and this is really weird to say, but I can only explain it how it happened. The dolls are in the office, and we keep them all there. And it's almost like a dog on a lead chain, to where they can only walk around that circle. They can't go any further. And, I would go in the kitchen, in the middle of the night, get stuff ready, and you'd see them, and it was like, not like something starring. It was like you'd see something, and I've seen it long enough to know I could get a glimpse, and I can describe what I saw. And it was like, almost like the eyebrows were heavier than they should be, and almost like somebody that's trying to portray something they're not, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
It does to me.
It does.
Well, I don't know, but all I can say is what it is. And I saw that a couple times, and this is only with particular dolls, but it always seems like it's only in the kitchen or it's only around the perimeter where the dolls are.
Well, and it's funny because Debbie's talking about, at that point we had a couple dolls in us that were new, to being in the house. And she started seeing things differently, and I sensed that it was kind of freaking her out a little bit. So I went in.
It wasn't freaking me out. It was just something different,
Well, that's what I sensed. So I went in and I recorded it, and I said, all right, listen, guys. I said, from now on, I said, whatever you guys are doing, you're not allowed to wander far from whatever doll you're attached to. That's what we're going to have to do here. And we got an EVP, and it was a male's voice, and he said, that's BS.
Oh,
but
boy.
He didn't say BS. He said the word.
Clearly straight out.
We're on the web. You can say it.
Yeah. No FCC rules here.
That's right.
Okay, good.
Now,
It's funny.
I'm sorry. When you came into the hotel room and you saw all these dolls laid out for you, how did you come to try to approach to do an EVP session?
Well, I think generally we do what we always do, and it doesn't matter. Like if we had no groups in the perfect location, how we like to work is just totally lights out. On a perfect day, we would probably sit there for 15 minutes, see what the house had to say to us, see what sounds we heard, kind of get into your head and see where you see them in the building, ask them, talk to them. I talk to them right in the air just like I do at home. You can come to me, it's okay, we're not going to hurt you. Let them know why we're here verbally as well as telepathically, and then, maybe 15, 20 minutes later. Usually, generally, if we have those circumstances, you will usually hear footsteps or knocks or something. And I mean, not like, oh, gee, a tree hit the house. I mean, really tangible stuff to where you can say, okay, we thought that was you. Can you do it again? In the perfect setting, we've had success to where they do. Then you can say, okay, come in. And usually I say prayers first if it was, in the perfect situation. And then we'll record, and what we do is do little bursts, maybe a minute or two at a time, play back. And then, like Carrie was saying, generally the EVP we get back is totally different on each recorder. And, that's, something I wanted to touch on, too, just really quickly. Carrie, I think you touched on earlier why they only come up on one recorder. And a friend of mine, Layla, with LA Paranormal, her dad has a great theory. And this isn't mine, it's his. But he said, I'm thinking, if you're a house painter and you have 4 walls to paint, you can only paint on one wall at a time. And I thought that was such a great analogy. And then, I guess some people, like ambidextrous or whatever, paint too. Maybe really artsy people or have done it for a really long time. But to me, that made so much sense to me. And, I try to give them credit when I can, but I use that because I think that's just so right to the point and what I believe is going on.
Yeah, makes sense.
And when we record, we are actively looking for interaction. We're not laying a recorder down and coming back a half hour later and then listening back 2 weeks later at home.
No. I mean, we've even played cards to where we lay cards out and we say, can you tell me what this is? They said at Alcatraz, full house.
Wow.
And it was a full house.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been at the Wolf where we had the cards down and we say, can you tell me what this card is? They say Jack. We pull over a Jack.
Yeah, we flip
And I'm
it
not
over
saying like
Jack.
1 over 100 times it is, because we maybe did this maybe 5 times, but I'm telling you 4 out of 5 times. they were right.
That's great. Now, I heard that you got a very disturbing EVP while doing this session with these dolls. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I think at one point Debbie asks, she asked, we only did 2 recordings. The first recording...
Well, we got quite a few in there, though.
We got a bunch of stuff, but...
In the beginning, they were nice, actually. Remember, in the beginning, they were somewhat nice.
Yeah.
We were all feeling good about it.
Yeah, on the first recording, Debbie asked what they think of John, and they say, not bad. And then we ended up recording again, and Debbie asked that question again, what do you think of John Zappis, or John, or whatever? And they say, dead. And, you know, and then
but they will
people in the room,
you know, and they will mess with you, and they will screw with your head. That is what they do.
Right, and people in the room kind of got nervous about it, and I said, you know, John knows better than anybody that if they can mess with you, that's what they're going to do.
Now, here's the EVP in question that you all mentioned. Let's take a listen.
And what are you feeling about John? And what are you feeling about John? And what are you feeling about John?
Well, here's the interesting story, because John calls me on Monday to tell me that on the way home from Phenomenology, the rear axle of his car comes off while he's driving. He was doing about 70 or so, and the car started to shimmy, and he made it over to the side of the road just in time where the axle broke right off the car. It had rusted right through. So it's,
oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. He was pretty shooken up, and he's like, I know I should have bound those damn dolls before I put them in the car and brought them home with me, because, you know, he usually does that, but he'll do it with objects once he gets back to the house. But I guess after he heard that EVP, he's like, I just should have done it. You know, we were all exhausted, so that, you know, we have to.
Well, it's a good thing he wasn't hurt.
No, he was not hurt. He's very sick right now, or he would have called in this evening. He said he has absolutely no voice. He has pneumonia, actually, right now.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God, see?
Yeah.
You know, like right after the golf field, we got sick, this happened. And, you know, you have just so much energy. I've never seen so many dolls in my life in one place.
Right, we were in the car for 5 hours and then another 5 hours. So.
Oh, I know. And to be in the room with John Zappis, to finally work with him with all these dolls, I was like a little kid in a candy store. And then, you know, and then we also got other EVP, too.
As soon as we
that was like embarrassed. One of them said embarrassed. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
And then John said that was relevant. Yeah, something like that.
And then there was one time where as soon as we turned the recorder on, I think it was the very first recording, as soon as we turned it on, we got an EVP and it said, I had to do it.
I had to do it, yes.
Yes,
I recall
I remember that.
Yes.
We got some crazy stuff, but there was the amount, like Debbie said, the amount of energy that was in that room.
We were all amped up. We were all amped up, too.
Was crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's what they feed on, too. That I am so totally a believer on that. You know, when you know you're going to get it and you put it out there and there's not to say skeptic, but you don't, exactly, you're amped up. That's the amp they're using. That's what they're using to manifest into voices.
That's incredible. I mean, we've gotten a lot of great EVPs in our research. Our group has been investigating since 2004. I've been doing it for about 11 years. I've caught a variety of great EVPs. Some I was actually able to hear with my own ears. Most I didn't. I was actually wondering if I could play one for you. We just actually recorded this last month, and it's without a doubt one of the clearest EVPs we have ever heard.
It's amazing, guys.
And it's freaky. And what's great about this particular EVP is we caught it on 3 separate recorders, and the volume is different on 3 recorders to that we could triangulate the position to tell exactly where the spirit was in relation to everybody. And let me play this for you real quick. Hopefully you can hear it through your phone line. There's going to be a little bit of silence, and then you're going to hear one of our investigators, Jennifer, is going to get up to move across the room. She actually trips a little bit on the carpet, and she goes, ow. But you'll hear a woman's voice come in. Now, Jennifer was the only woman there, but you're going to hear a woman or a child's voice come in a sing-song voice. But take a listen to this and tell me what you think.
that person, whoever shell it was, has, and they can portray themselves as that person because they have that person's memory there and everything.
And you got to realize, though, too, this is only one theory, and this is only a theory. We're just saying, hey, ghosts are real. We have no freaking idea what we're dealing with.
Yeah, that's the truth.
And so, you know, I went in, process everything.
Right, and then I guess what his theory was is that, you know, any sort of elemental can kind of climb into that shell.
And portray themselves like a demon.
Right, because not like a demon.
Or like any, you don't know what you're dealing with, really.
Well, but they can, when you're communicating with them through whatever means, they have the knowledge.
In there, and then my thing is, you know, I used to meditate a lot, and I used to, you know, read and stuff like that. And, you know, we're all chakras, and we have 7 pulse points in our aura, major ones, you know, to where it's your 7 major chakras, but you also have them in the palm of your hands, you have them on the base of your feet, you have them everywhere. And so, you know, I just kind of went over the bed.
Anything to do with
well,
this, but Aleister, I read a book on Aleister Crowley, and he believes that, you know, when you die, you move on, you know, wherever it is.
Ghosts.
You move on, and what you leave behind is like akin to a seashell. You leave a seashell behind, and it has all your memory and all your
DNA. I've never seen so many dolls in my life.
And we didn't even take
Laid
them all
across
out.
The bed, there had to be well over 100.
Yeah.
You know, every doll to me has a different personality, and I don't know if it's a portal. I don't know. You know, Mark has a really good theory. If you want to tell me your Aleister Crowley thing, Mark, do you want?
Well, no, that really doesn't have any.